We're still on the State of the Nation address. Now, this week on JoyNews Agenda, we've been highlighting the risk that police personnel are subjected to in the bid to protect all of us. Now, that agenda was necessitated by attacks on the service, the most recent being the killing of an officer at the Kwabena police station. President Akufo-Addo says 800 million cedis has been committed to purchasing logistics for the police service. Here are excerpts of a report from Rafiq Salam in the Upper West region of the police service there.
This is the Upper West Regional Command of the Ghana Police Service. It was first started as a district police headquarters, but following the creation of the Upper West region, it ceded part of its structures to the Regional Command. Any first-timer to the police station will not be able to differentiate between the two command officers. The only thing that may help is the naming on their walls. The major challenge faced by police personnel here is lack of office space. Here, residential facilities have been turned into offices. These 7 quarters are residential facilities for officers. However, due to lack of office space, they have been turned into offices and a clinic. Makeshift structures are also constructed inside the corridors to aid the officers do their work. This is the internal audit unit of the Ghana Police Service, but also doubles as the office for the Rapid Development Force, RDF. Storerooms and kitchens have been converted into offices. They have little or no space to put their exhibits. Chief Inspector Alhaji Idi Ziblim explains.
In terms of barracks, we have turned all the inspector quarters, especially in Upper West here, to be an offices, which is very bad. Look at my office, an action unit office. If somebody come here, reinforcement, we have to clash each other before we move to a scene of crime. This is completely a kitchen. You have entered the DSP office and you have seen it. This is very, very bad. So we are advising and treating people to assist us to get defeated offices so that we'll be proud of Upper West.
The story is same at the Department of the Motor Traffic Transport Unit, but in a worse form, as officers and their dockets are drenched when it rains. ASP Emilia Asedu Jeche is the Upper West MTTU commander.
Lack of space, so we had to do this attachment to enable the investigation aspect of the MTTD to go on. But fortunately or unfortunately, because it is a temporary attachment, when it rains, you can't stay in there. You have to either come out or move into the kitchen, which is now the station officer's office, or come onto these verandas. People who have in to attend to their issues all have to come into it, finish raining before we can go back in there and then attend to official matters. So that's a major problem that we are facing in here as a unit. Well, I'm appealing to the government and the Inspector General of Police to help us complete a new regional police headquarters at Sombo. We'll be very glad that it can be completed within this year so that the regional administration can move to that side and then the accommodation can be given to the inspectors and chief inspectors to stay in the official accommodation, which has been turned into offices for other units such as the MTD, the RDF, and then the Highway SWAT and so on.
For the Upper West Regional CID office, the least talk about it, the better. It was a corridor that was expanded and converted into an office. Before the expansion, officers crawl on their benches before they reach their desks. Now that it has been expanded, the hall is poorly ventilated. The roof has no ceiling, exposing the workers to excessive heat. The policy in this office is 1 police CID, 1 standing fan. Make no mistake, the standing fans are not the properties of the Ghana Police Service, but are bought from the packets.
Those are excerpts of our JoyNews agenda last week, looking at, actually this week, looking at the state of the police service here Let's hear the president on what he's doing about it.
The safety and security of our people are at the heart of all that we do. Ghanaian citizens have a right to expect to go about their daily lives in an atmosphere of peace. A Ghanaian has a right to expect that those who break the law must be subject to the sanctions laid down under the law. The police, the prosecution services, and the judiciary owe it to all of us to make us feel and be safe. I do not need to repeat that crime wears no political colors, and I'm certain that message has gone down to all. So, Mr. Speaker, the law enforcement agencies will crack down hard on all those who would disturb the peace of our nation. We will give the police the resources they need to do their job. An initial amount of 800 million cedis is being made available to procure and supply within the next 6 months critical modern policing equipment and gadgets to enhance the capacity of the police to enforce law and order, including 1,000 vehicles, motorbikes, and ammunition. The equipment is to facilitate visibility, mobility, and improve responsiveness of the police, to ensure a safe, secure, and peaceful economic and social environment for Ghanaians to work and thrive. Already, the successful renegotiation of existing contracts has enabled us to purchase forthwith 100 vehicles for the police. To long-term order, we'll purchase drones and helicopters to assist the police combat violent crime and environmental crime. The crime laboratories will be modernized and properly equipped to provide the necessary support. The police intelligence unit will also be strengthened. The perennial problems associated with police accommodation will be tackled, and a compensation package introduced to cover officers in their line of duty. I'm aware that the entire nation is extremely anxious and perturbed by the activities of the migrant nomadic.
President Akufo-Addo there speaking about what he is doing about security and the security agencies in this country. Let's have a very quick chat on this National Network Coordinator for the West Africa Network for Peace Building. WANEP joins me on the line, via Skype. Albert Yeyang. Albert, thank you very much for your time. That's what the president say about what his administration is doing about security. Give you any assurances, having monitored the security space in this country? Does it give you and by extension the entire Ghanaian populace any assurance that we can work with?
Could you come again? The line was not so clear.
Right. I'm asking, what we've heard the president speak about allocating 800 million, an initial amount, he says, of 800 million to the Ghana Police Service for logistics for the service, for example. We've heard him say that they're going to equip the crime lab, for example. And I'm asking you, as someone who has watched the security space in this country, does what the president say give you any assurances, and by extension to the Ghanaian people, should we take this as assurances that are enough for us to, go about our business?
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you to your listeners. I think that that's the President of the Republic, and he has all it takes to ensure all of us and to make sure that all of us in the country are secured. And he has indicated the steps that are being taken to ensure. I think that area of equipping our laboratories for investigation is the right step to have been taken or to have been indicated by the president. If you look at it, very often investigative processes have been challenged, and then also justice delivery have the necessary logistics, laboratory to do proper investigation, to identify the right suspects, and also to be able to pick evidence before they are killed, and also to speed up justice. So I think it's a very good step that the president has indicated in his State of the Nation address, and it's our hope that, and for me in particular, where I sit, that this will be followed through, and it will go in a long way to support efforts that the state has been implementing to ensure security in the country.
The last time the president addressed the nation, he had to speak about, some of the activities of persons from within his party, or speak more about the fact that crime, he says, doesn't have political colors, because that was the problem, a major problem we were dealing with then. Would you say, as a network, having monitored the space, that the situation is any better as we speak?
I think that month, the number of incidences that we witnessed at the beginning of the tenure of the government, have reduced. But I think that, and the president too recently we heard about the suspension of the Upper West Regional Minister on suspicion of interference in. We've also seen a number of initiatives like Operation Calm Life recently by the Northern Regional Coordinating Council, which I think should be replicated in the other Upper East and Upper West, which probably criminals that are being chased out of their hideouts in several other operations. Operation Vanguard and then Operation Cow Leg are running over, and we have a number of, let me say, an increased incidence of criminality. There are indications that the government or leadership is taking some efforts to nip these in the bud, and obviously that is I think that for some time people were expecting and thinking that these should have been the efforts of the government very, very early. And we think that they were doing some things, but not seeing what they expected to be happening. So I think, crime has no color, violence is no color, or let me say association, but very often when we have the system and leadership taking bold steps, stringent efforts, and ensuring confidence in the system, then we can see
than never.
Hello?
But we could say better late than never, even though we expected some of these actions earlier. But finally, and before I let you go, is 800 million, in your estimation as a security expert, good enough to solve the myriad of problems that we have with our police service, or in general our security services?
I think that we can do more. I am not really an expert to understand or know in terms of cost to procuring these logistics. But I think that if you look at the personnel, the force that is there, in terms of numbers and what we need to ensure that this institution of the police service is well equipped in terms of equipment, and which, for instance, I did not see in the list of the items identified, have been indicated in the State of the Nation address. But it's one area that needs a lot of retooling to ensure that the communication within the system, the police service, is really something that is up to standard and that can facilitate responses. Even in the laboratory, the question that one can ask is it possible, or is that also part of training the personnel to have the technical know-how, the skill to do proper analysis of any data that they pick, and even forensic analysis? So I think there's probably they need to do more to ensure that we have the security service, the police, enough resources, logistics, in terms of vehicles, in terms of communication equipment, and even in terms of movement. Very often one of the challenges is that they don't have resources to even fuel their vehicles to move, and it becomes a hindrance in terms of a speedy response to criminal acts. If you look at it, they also talked about the helicopters. I think that is one of the areas, if implemented, can go a long way to support efforts at combating crime and criminality, communal violence in the various areas. If you look at the environment, if going around the country, and especially where we have illegal mining taking place, these things are still occurring. And there are probably areas that the security agencies are not able to get into, the hinterlands. So if we have helicopters or drones that are used to patrol the areas, and of course not used for other purposes, then it can go a long way to support the efforts at fighting crime.
Mr. Yoyang, we'll say a very big thanks to you for your time. Albert Yoyang is the National Coordinator for WANEP, that's the West African Network for Peace Building there. You've heard his thoughts on whether or not 800 million is enough for to help or to deal with the situation of our security agencies, and whether or not this is timely intervention. Well, he believes that the president could have taken some of these drastic measures earlier in the day. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty Andopia. Is a State of the Nation address by the president. The president has spoken. Does it resonate with you? You can also share your thoughts with us on our social media platforms. I'm taking a very quick break.